Welcome to this week's edition of Sports Scene. It's a new show we have here. It's kind of like Around the Horn. So we're going to throw it to our host, Adam, for a second here to introduce us all.
All right, thank you for that one. Nice recovery. And like you said, we're here Sports Scene, the newer show we're doing. And get it started, I'm host Adam Smith. And if we throw it over to talent, we got Ashley DeLue, Drew White, and Braden Schrupp. So might as well get started right away on the show. And we begin with Brewers baseball. After a good 5-2 stand, they are now at 500. Well, we'll start with Ashley. What do you think of the Brewers?
Obviously they got off to a pretty slow start. And with the injuries, some of the injuries they had at the beginning of the season, or, right at the end of spring training, they had fans worrying already a little bit. But as you said, they've had a really good homestand. They took 2 of 3 from the Cubs, which is always huge, our hated division rivals, and then 2 of 3 from the Braves before that. I'm not too worried about them. Gallardo's been pitching well. Narveson has stepped up. Fielder's hitting really hot so far, which I think bodes well for the Brewers.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head saying, they had a bad start. They got swept by the Reds in their opening series, who's a very good team, possibly going to win the NL this year, NL Central, maybe even the NL as well. Talking about the injuries, like you just said, we got Lucroy, who should have been our starting catcher, will be our starting catcher. Just came off the DL yesterday, and Corey Hart and Ace Zach Greinke aren't long followed behind. So that's definitely promising for Brewers fan. They're heating up with the bats. Ricky Weeks is setting the table for those hungry power hitters like Prince and Braun, who are both hitting over 350. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, Prince Fielder is extremely impressive at the batting right now. He has 11 RBIs, he has a .400 average, and he also has 2 home runs right now. Their pitching which really is the biggest improvement with the Brewers this season. Gallardo, he shut out the Braves, and he's having a 2.7 ERA right now, which is very impressive for their teams. And their next series upcoming against the Pirates here is really special for them because hopefully they can keep this momentum going and get up on that record.
And like you said, Pirates coming up. Usually Brewers are historically pretty good against the Pirates, especially at Pittsburgh. So what do you think of the upcoming series? Braun's usually hot against them. What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, Braun's got over 1,000 on-base percentage, has 4 home runs already, always has hit really well in PNC Park. So looking forward to that. Like you said with Prince, he's got 11 RBIs in 10 games. We got to keep that going. If we can keep it up, I think we're going to possibly sweep this series and move on to the next one.
Yeah, they always play well at PNC Park for sure, especially recently. And against the Pirates, they're not always. You don't really expect them to lose too often to them. So I definitely expect them the hitters to keep on hitting well, and pitching has been doing good so far. So I expect them to do well in that series.
I think last time this year they beat them, it was 22-0 or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just kill them.
It's a nail biter.
To get that series going, and then also before, the teams we played, they're all playoff contenders.
Right.
Maybe the Cubs not. So does that make the 5-5 more impressive, or was it they just sneaked through with 5-5?
To me, it makes it more impressive. Like you said, the playoff teams. But with the Cubs, with the payroll that high, it's still impressive when you beat teams like that.
Yeah.
Our payroll is a fraction of what theirs is. Excuse me. And if we're beating them, I always think that's a good sign because our talent isn't up to par with theirs money-wise. But I think that's a good thing that we're definitely beating playoff teams.
Yeah. I think it's more impressive for sure. Especially when you lose in the beginning of the season to Cincinnati. They were a playoff team last year, and they probably will be again this year. Definitely, though, beating the Cubs and beating teams like the Braves is always a good thing. So I don't think they snuck in. At 5-5, I think they've been doing well against their opponents.
I think they've won their last 5 of their last 6 games.
Correct.
Which is so they keep this momentum going, especially with the injuries coming back. I think they're going to be hitting on a hot streak, and they're going to be doing good the rest of the season. I think that they have a very good chance of winning the Central Division, and getting swept by the Reds, it happens. It was the start of the season, but you can't use that against them. They'll have a lot more series to come, and it's still early.
Right, and our problem against the Reds wasn't our starting pitchers; it was our bullpen.
Yeah.
We went into all 3 games with a lead, and lost them at the end there. But like we said about the Reds, it's an improved Reds team, and they won the Central last year.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely something that we can build on and is good for the future here.
Speaking of the bullpen, you got Axford's going to be the closer. Do you think who steps up as the setup man? Do you think Saito will be there, or someone else like Lowe? Who do you got for the setup man?
Well, right now Saito's actually on the day-to-day DL, so he's day-to-day. Right now, I think it should be Cameron Lowe. He's been pitching well. He does his thing. I like seeing the big bald man on there, Mr. Clean, little sexy. Chicks dig that, but I think it should be Cameron Lowe.
I agree Cameron Lowe's been pitching well. But I don't mind Axford. He had that outing where he didn't do too well, but he was, been, in the back end for a while now. So either one, I think, Axford and Lowe would be good. So.
All right, so when Greinke comes back, like, what do we think? Who might step back? You know, Randy Wolf's been kind of struggling,
Right.
even though it wasn't earned. Narvison's been pitching really well, so for that 5th starter, do you think that Narvison will hang on to the 5 spot throughout the year, or will there be, like, constant movement in the rotation?
I think, I mean, the way he's performing now, you'd have to keep him in there until, I mean, he started to show something different. He's been stepped up really well so far this season. And Randy Wolf, I mean, since he's coming here, I mean, I haven't been completely impressed with him. I mean, he's had some good outings, but I don't know. I think Narvison's playing really well, and until he shows differently, I think you got to keep him in there at the number 5. No, none of that switching around thing. I don't think that really helps.
I agree with you 100% there, because Wolf's he pitches to hit. You know, he pitches to hit. Narvison's leading the Brewers with 14 strikeouts already a win. So I think they're different pitchers. Wolf's pitching to contact, and Narvison's striking guys out. So I like Narvison in there. But if he does struggle and starts, he's been known to been dinging around as a young guy. If he's struggling a lot, ERA goes way up. Throw Wolf back in there for a little while. Just let him calm down in the bullpen.
All right, so enough about the Brewers. Might as well move on. There's still other baseball going on if you're in the state of Wisconsin. I didn't know that because I've been following Brewers. But all right, other baseball stories. What has pretty much surprised you or big story to you so far this year?
I would say right now the Rangers are the most impressive team out there, and they are the number 1 in the latest power rankings. A lot of people said that there was a fluke that they won the AL pennant last year, and they kind of have this goal to prove that wasn't a fluke. And I like their attitude. I like where they're going with it. The best team right now, record-wise and statistics-wise, and so I think that they should definitely have a good chance to pull ahead, and maybe even they're looking like a World Series team right now, so I think that they could be.
And Braid mentioned the Rangers, and they swept the AL favorite coming into the year, which was the Red Sox, who went in the offseason, went out of control, signing Crawford, Gonzalez, a couple pitchers. So they've been struggling at the mound, so it's nice to see a team like that, like Red Sox and Yankees, get hit around a little bit, and they're really struggling. So not to be a little rude, but I kind of like it. I enjoy it. So.
All right, moving on. We had also this big weekend. We had the Masters, which there's a surprise champ. What did you think of the Masters? The finish came down to the wire. Were you surprised to see just out of the blue guy winning it?
I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Charles Schwartzel or something. Yep. I mean, I hadn't heard of him. I hadn't watched a whole lot of golf other than like the Masters and stuff like that coming in. But I mean, he had a very impressive outing. He kind of got, I think, lost in the hype of the collapse of McIlroy and the way Tiger was playing there towards the end. But I was really impressed with his comeback. He birdied his last 4 holes, which was impressive, and it was his first ever, major win. Winning the Masters is very impressive. So, I mean, I really enjoyed watching the towards the end, him winning was really exciting.
Well, I think what happened during the Masters is good for golf. There's a bunch of guys around 10 under. The final day of the Masters, anybody could win. I'm not going to say he's a no-namer. I've heard him once or twice, but I'm a pretty big golf fan. Charles, don't call me Arnold Schwartzel. I looked up his stats. He was 29th in the world before this. Moved up to 11th recently with the win. So he's 29th. He's not a nobody, but like you said before, he's not somebody that you think would be winning the Masters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it all started. I mean, to shoot a 66 at the Masters is extremely impressive. Yep. That was best on the day, and to birdie the last 4 holes, it all started. I mean, he had momentum. It kind of looked sloppy at the first hole, and then he had that really long chip for a birdie that just carried it through the entire time and just kept it going for him the whole way through. So it was just an impressive day, and you can't really blame the guy or hate on the guy for doing extremely well.
And he was the best in the first 3 days of putting. He led the first 3 days in putting average, and then on the last, like you just said, Braden, the first hole he chipped in, and then the third hole he eagled out. So you don't need that flat stick when you're putting it in from the fairway.
Okay, so like for the Masters, will it be known more for the winner, Tiger's charge being towards the top, or Rory McIlroy collapsing? Like, what will this be remembered as?
Who wants to start here?
I would say McIlroy's collapse will probably be. I mean, you can't blame the kid. He's 21 years old. I mean, to be put on that type of stage, that type of setup, I mean, that's a lot of pressure on somebody. And it all started on the back 9 where that first drive on hole 10 where he just shot it farther off the fairway than anybody has ever seen. It was 100 yards off the fairway near a house. And then he just was 6 over on the holes 10, 11, and 12 and just couldn't pick up from there. He shot an 80 on the day, but I think that he's definitely going to be somebody to keep in mind for other majors to come through, and he's definitely going to be somebody that's going to be top of the ranks within the next couple of years. And he has a lot of time to win the Masters. But as for to be one of the youngest guys to ever win the Masters would be a statistic that'd be nice. But
right. I haven't seen anybody collapse like McIlroy. I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Since Greg Norman at the '86 British Open, I believe. It's he had 5 strokes on the rest of the field going in at 12 under. The winner ended up 14 under Schwartzel. So all McIlroy really had to do was go out there and shoot a 70 and win the golf tournament. So he definitely kind of choked under the pressure. But it was nice to see that he did it with dignity and he was classy about it. He wasn't slamming clubs like Tiger, which is something I can't stand. He wasn't swearing at the fans and stuff like that. He did it with class. I mean, it's hard to say that a guy lost. He's a good loser, but he was a good loser.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to make that a perfect 3 for 3. I mean, as much as you expect. I mean, you kind of, as bad as Tiger's been as of late, you still kind of expect him to be in the mix every once in a while. But McIlroy, his collapse was just unreal. I didn't expect that at all. As young as he is, though, he'll definitely be around for a while. So he has no reason
kind
to
of
worry.
surprised. No one's surprised that Tiger finally came back. So he never played. But enough about that. We're going to be moving on to a break here and a little message. We'll be back in a moment.
LFACT. University of Wisconsin La Crosse is ranked the #2 college in the Midwest.
UW La Crosse is ranked number 34 for out-of-state students among public universities nationwide.
UW La Crosse is ranked as one of the most military-friendly schools in the nation.
UW La Crosse is number 24 among medium colleges and universities for Peace Corps volunteers.
All right, moving on, we were going to get right into it with a game called Buy or Sell. And our first topic for Buy or Sell, NBA playoffs are pretty much set on one side and mostly on the other. What do you guys buy or sell the Lakers, who have lost 5 straight, pulling off a three-peat?
I'll start off here, and gosh, this was a hard one for me. I mean, the Lakers are a great team. I'm gonna say buy them three-peating, just because I guess I'd like to see it. As you said, they've lost 5 of their last games. They probably aren't playing as well as they'd like to heading into the playoffs here, but they're a great team. Obviously, you've got other teams. The Heat and teams like that, but I like the Lakers to three-peat. I think they can definitely have a chance to do it. So I'll go with buy on that one.
I'm going to switch it up here and I'm going to sell. Just because I think they've been struggling as of late. I know that Phil Jackson's the guru and gets them all to play hard down the stretch. I just don't think they have it in them the year. Kobe's knees are another year older, another year slower. He's not playing like the Kobe late that I've seen. He's making dumb fouls. He fouled Russell Westbrook on a 4-point play last week. He's just not playing like the Kobe of old, and they need Kobe to win. So I'm going to sell.
I'm going to buy. I know they've been on the 5-game losing streak, but the thing is that it's the experience that they've had in the playoffs. Phil Jackson, like you said, he's the guru. He knows how to get his team to play well. They know how to play. They've been there before. All these guys are experienced, and Kobe plays when he needs to play. And I just don't think you can count out Kobe Bryant. I think he's still the best player in the world overall. So I think that when it comes down to the wire, I think that the Lakers, I expect them to at least for sure be a team there in the end, and definitely I can see them winning another title.
Like when after the break, All-Star break, they won 17 of 18. Was that
Right.
kind of just a statement of, well, we know we can do it, so then we'll coast? Like, you think that's what they were going for? Like they've already shown that they're a good team, or like are they the 17-1 team after the break, or are they now this 5-game losing streak team?
I'm not so worried about their losing streaks
Yeah.
and winning streaks, because I'm worried about their matchups. Right now, they're going to have to play the Thunder sometime during the playoffs, and it's a terrible matchup for them. Kevin Durant matches up greatly with Kobe Bryant. Russell Westbrook is better than Derek Fisher. I'll say that right now. He's a top 5 point guard in the league. They just added Kendrick Perkins